Hi, I'm Melissa Lyon and I'm here today thanks to the Centre for Legal Innovation to tell you all about design thinking and its uses in the legal profession. I've been looking at design thinking and how it can be used in the legal profession for a number of years now, and the questions that I seem to be asked all the time is what is it, what it takes to use it in the legal profession and how it's being used. And that's exactly what I've got the opportunity to tell you about today with a series of interviews that I'm doing with some really fantastic people within the profession who are using design thinking in all different sorts of ways. We have people that are working in in-house legal operations roles, people working as lawyers, people working with digital agencies, in the access to justice area and also in the business development area. So I'm very excited to be able to bring those things to you. So what we're going to start with is, what is design thinking? Design thinking is a user-centred way of approaching problems and providing solutions which really have the user or the end user at the centre of what you're trying to develop or design. It's been used for years and years in other industries and sectors, and now the legal profession has started to use it as well. It's used for product design, service design and process design, and we're seeing it more and more being used in the context of the delivery of legal services and processes offerings and the ways that we can communicate with our clients. At its essence, there are three main elements of design thinking. There is empathy, collaboration and experimentation. Now they take a mindset change for the legal profession, and I'll come to that later, because it is a completely different way of thinking to the way that we as lawyers have been trained and the way that we've approached problems in the past. But let's now look at the specific elements of design thinking. First of all, empathy. So obviously if you're designing for the end user, you have to really understand what the pain points are or the problems are for that user so that you can design something that's going to assist them to have a better experience in whatever they're going to experience, be it reading a legal document or receiving legal advice or being involved in a process that involves some type of legal process. Empathy can be gained by not just talking to the end user, but also putting yourself in their shoes as well. It can also be gained by actually observing the end user. Now, in terms of how the legal profession has approached empathy before, I think one of the things that we find is that we want to jump to a solution pretty quickly. We're time poor and we've been told how we should come up with solutions for problems pretty quickly. So for us, actually going back to the start and asking people what they want becomes a difficult thing for lawyers to do. The second element is collaboration. I'm often very vocal about the fact that I don't think that the legal profession traditionally is good at collaborating, either internally or externally. And one of the reasons for that is that the siloed approach that a lot of law firms have, not just across the different types of legal services that they provide, but also across the different skill sets. Now, at its very core, design thinking actually looks at the real value that you can bring by bringing together multidisciplinary teams. And those skills may be legal or different types of legal skills and expertise, but they can also, and I would say crucially, also need to be other skills, HR skills, design skills, business development skills, all of those different types of skills that can really add to the solution that you provide for the end user. And the final element of design thinking is experimentation. I think it's fair to say too that lawyers are not good at failing. They are smart people, they've been competitive and have grown up in and been trained in a way that actually ensures that they don't fail or that they avoid failure. And failure is a really crucial part of actually getting to a better result, because if something fails, you can improve it by looking at how it's failed and come up with a better solution. So that area also provides a bit of a barrier for mindset of lawyers in terms of using design thinking. So they're the three elements of design thinking, but how does the process actually work? One of the things I think with lawyers is that we really do like a process and we like a structure to follow. And whilst design thinking has some fairly high level concepts that I've just spoken about, it also has a specific process that you can work through, starting with empathy. So gathering your information around what the end user wants. Once you've got that information, and that can be gathered in a whole lot of different ways, then you actually define what you're trying to achieve. Once again, not jumping to a solution, but actually really clarifying what you're trying to achieve and what you're designing. Once you've defined, and that's often used or referred to as the how might we phase, so how might we create a solution for this issue? So you've posed that question, how might we? Then it's time to ideate. And this is where the really creative part of design thinking comes in. Looking at what might not necessarily seem possible at first, but really looking outside the realms of even possibility. Looking at what might you do if you had superpowers, or what if you had unlimited money, or what if you didn't have any money at all. All of those things that mean that you're not necessarily looking at what's in front of you now, but you're looking ahead and you're looking in a much broader way as to what you could do to solve this problem. And there are a lot of brainstorming ways that we can do that, and hopefully we'll hear about some of those things in this series of interviews as well. Once you've ideated and you really think about, in a more broad sense, how you can solve this problem, then you prototype. Design thinking is very hands-on, and so you'll often see in design thinking workshops the use of crafts, visuals, drawing, colours, all of those things that we might not necessarily think really are attuned with legal, where we're just looking at text and the written word in black and white. But using those types of ways of building something physically, or even drawing it or drawing a flowchart, actually helps us to come up with a much better solution. It's also fun, and that's a real element of design thinking that I think is of real benefit to us in the profession as well, to actually put some fun in what we do and to actually enjoy the process of designing and coming up with good solutions for our clients and the people that we work with. So once you've built that prototype, and here is another element of design thinking as well, build the prototype, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Progress, not perfection. Actually get something done and learn while you build it as well, or while you design it. I think we also see in the profession that need for everything to be perfect before it's sent out, and I can understand that as well, but here we're really looking to do something quickly and then move on to the test phase. So test it, and test it to see whether or not it's going to work. Test it with the users, test it with other people, see what they think about it and get their feedback as well. The benefit of testing it and moving fast through this process is that if this isn't going to work, then you fail fast, and you can then move on to something else that is going to work, rather than just continuing to work on something that's not really hitting where it needs the mark, where it needs to hit the mark. And the final phase is actually to iterate. So once you've done the testing and you've got the feedback, look at what you've built again or what you've designed, and decide whether or not you do cast it away and forget about it, or whether you can tweak it, whether you can actually iterate it to make it a much more useful product or service or design, so that it will actually do what you need it to do for the end user. This cycle really works well, I think, because you can move through things fairly fast, and it also brings each and every phase, brings in the multidisciplines that really end up getting you a great result, especially for the end user, which is what design thinking is all about. So through this series of interviews, as I said, we'll be talking to a range of people who are from a range of different areas of the legal profession. Some have different skills, some are lawyers, and you'll see that they've been able to bring those skills together and produce some amazing results that always have the end user and a human-centred way of looking at the solutions that they've produced, and use the design thinking process to come to those solutions. So I hope you enjoy it, and we'll start to put some of these things into practice as well. Thank you.